Today, I'm in Leicester for a Premier League game.
Then I'm flying to New York for an MLS match.
So I'm going to be comparing with two different fan experiences you get at two different clubs on two different continents. We're going to be looking at things such as the food, quality of the match, atmosphere, and most importantly, the cost. Speaking of which, I paid £42 for a ticket at Leicester. On the other hand, I paid £47 for a ticket to New York City FC. £42 is one of the cheaper tickets at Leicester City, and £47 is one of the more expensive at New York City FC. But I'm still surprised that the MLS costs more than the Premier League, but we are in New York City. I guess you don't get views of the Chrysler building like this in Leicester. So for the money that I've paid, what views do I get?
Well, at Leicester, I'm behind the goal right next to the away fans. So whilst the view isn't great, the atmosphere should be really good. In New York, this is my view, and you might notice the stadium looks a little bit odd, and that's because NYCFC play in a baseball stadium whilst their stadium is being built. And so whilst we have a fairly typical view of a football pitch from our seats, fans behind the goals and on the opposite side of the stadium have a less than optimal view of the game. But football isn't all about how good your seats are, it's about who you can go to the game with. And at Leicester, I'm joined by two of my lifelong friends, Reese and Ethan, and in New York, I'm joined by my very good friend, Zealand. But first up, we're in Leicester for a huge relegation battle.
Considering the position in the table, I think 18th and 19th,
Yeah.
it's been very tame. I wanted a little bit more ag with the fans.
Yeah, there's no one's up for it basically. I think it's probably the sign of a relegation battle for both teams. Like there's no excitement particularly around.
Almost nervousness, I'd say.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Before we went into the stadium, we got some food. I grabbed a burger and chips, whilst the boys grabbed hot dogs and chips instead, for the pricely sum of £13.80.
For the meal you just had, would you pay that in a restaurant?
No. For stadium food, I'd say it was the best one that I've had for a while. Quality good, but price very high.
But is Leicester's food going to be better than New York's? Stay tuned to find out as we enter the King Power Stadium.
So what are your thoughts on the stadium then?
Yeah, it's nice, really big. Really big. I like that it spells Leicester on the seats over there.
Yeah, that's good. Right, score predictions. I'm going to say 1-0 Bournemouth. What are you boys saying?
I'm going to go 2-0 Bournemouth. I think Leicester, no Maddison. Going to be struggle to create. See Billing and Solanke maybe getting a goal each.
Okay. Reese?
Yeah, I think nervous game, but I think home advantage for Leicester. I'm going to go 2-0 Leicester.
For the actual match though, we had to sit apart, as the tickets we bought 2 days before on general sale only had these seats available. However, as we looked around, there were plenty of seats available for us to take. The early atmosphere from both sets of fans was really good, but it was the Bournemouth fans who were singing the most.
The goal was coming easily. Leicester have been really poor all half. The game plan is just get bodies behind the ball basically and try and defend, and it's not worked out for them.
And with that, Leicester's players and fans looked pretty deflated. The game wasn't shaping up to be a classic.
So half time and it's been really poor for Leicester, hasn't it, mate?
Yeah, Leicester slow, no game plan, with or without the ball, no idea what they're doing. Bournemouth just seems to have more energy, really controlling the game.
Yeah, Leicester have looked really flat. There's no energy in that team. It doesn't look like a team that are trying to save themselves.
No, just don't seem to care, and the fans around us seem really frustrated, and you can understand why.
So based on what you're seeing so far, Reece, are Leicester saving themselves?
No, not at all. No, do you know what? I thought coming into this that Leicester would win. I think I said 2-0.
Yeah.
They showed absolutely nothing that first half. Really slow, passing back all the time. Terrible game.
Yeah, from what I've seen just from the first half, Leicester are going down. We're 10 minutes into the second half, and I think the ball has been entirely in the Leicester half at the other end of the pitch.
And Bournemouth stayed in control for the rest of the second half. Leicester did have their chances, but the fans rarely got off their seats, and by the end of the game, they were not happy with losing 1-0 to a relegation rival.
So it's finished 1-0, which I think I predicted there. So I'm pretty happy with that prediction. You boys are completely wrong. How does that feel?
I was completely wrong. I don't know. I thought it was terrible. I predicted new manager bounce, home form, and didn't see anything. So, yeah, deserved loss, I think.
Yeah, Leicester had a good spell, 10-15 minutes when Dak and Iheanacho came on, but other than that, there wasn't really energy or anything like that at all in the game, was there?
It didn't feel like a relegation battle game for Leicester.
No, I said to you halfway through the second half, it felt more like it was a case of a Premier League team in Bournemouth playing against a Championship team in the FA Cup or something.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Leicester look like they're just giving up, tired. Just haven't got the fight at the end of the day.
One game down, one more to go, and it's time I caught my flight across the Atlantic to New York City.
So you know someone who's got his pitch side?
I do. That person is me. But we are pitch side, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Because it is actually my first NYCFC game too. So this is not like something I'm just sharing with you guys.
It's definitely better than my experience at Leicester already. So in the battle between who's winning, it's MLS for me right now. This is genuinely insane. Right on the pitch side here, right before kickoff. Just seen all the players walk past. This is sick.
As the players walk out onto the pitch, you may notice the stadium looks a little bit empty. And there's a few reasons for that. One, New York City FC aren't as well supported as the other New York-based teams who are currently playing in the ice hockey and basketball playoffs at the time of recording. Also, a lot of the stadium isn't open to fans because the viewing angles from certain seats in the stadium aren't suited for football at all. And as a result, you could get a terrible view from those seats, or you would actually be able to see part of the pitch from it. So I was expecting a pretty quiet atmosphere, but I was wrong. The active supporters on the other side of the stadium tours were making noise all games with their singing, drums and trumpets, and actually I was really impressed.
Really decent effort. Down the near post. Going to VAR instead. This is more exciting than Leicester is already. Chalks it off. It's offside. So just on our goal, and then since then, Dallas have been on the front foot. New York kind of fallen apart a little bit.
New York can't defend the set pieces, apparently. The goalkeeper just made a heck of a reflex.
Although he shouldn't have to do it in the first place. He punched the ball away when he should have caught it. But
I didn't think he liked the spin or something. It's gotten uncomfortable for NYCFC now.
Both sides, I feel, are making some really decent patterns of play. It's really technical football, actually. One touch, a lot from Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas built up well. Dallas, honestly, is just owning set pieces. Every set piece they get is the most dangerous chance of the game. But I think NYCFC's got the more creative attackers when the field is open.
Yeah, if they get the chances properly into the area, then they've got the better striker as well. But it's that final ball at the moment as well, I feel. They just can't quite deliver it. Finally, they've got the deadlock broken. Santiago Rodriguez with the goal. Big defensive mistake, right?
Oh, yeah, terrible. Dallas spent like a minute trying to break out of the press, trying to play with composure, and they gave it away. And if we've learned anything about Santiago Rodriguez in the first 45 minutes, is that if he has an opportunity to shoot, he will shoot.
He will shoot.
With good reason.
And this time he's got it.
The food options in New York were way better. From sausages to barbecue to an actual Shake Shack in the stadium, we decided to go for steak sandwiches in the end, which were priced at £20 each.
It's the American thing ever.
Yeah.
The second goal happened while we were eating on the concourse.
So in the excitement of a second goal, we need to do a food review.
We got steak sandwiches, caramelized onions, and cheese, and they were an excellent choice. What you thought? I really enjoyed
It really might have been the best food I've had in the stadium, other than the hot dogs you had the other night at the baseball, actually.
We can't beat a hot dog in a baseball game.
That is true.
We did have two, except he ordered the foot-long hot dog the second time, so we had...
I'm a growing boy. The Wonder Kid has done it!
That had a little ozil in it. He pumped the first guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that counter from the first move over here, that was beautiful.
2 quick goals for New York in the second half. It's sort of quietened down since then. They're settling down to win the game, aren't they? Sort of
I could not tell you the last time Dallas had the ball for more than like 10 seconds. It's been really impressive game management from New York.
Yeah, they are just holding it down. And to be fair, they've not got forward much at all. They get to the attacking third and lose possession, win it back again halfway. The game was really tamed a little bit. As I say that, Magno. Oh!
The best chance in the game while we're sitting here talking.
It is silent, you wouldn't know it's happened, but Dallas have just pulled one back from a set piece. We said earlier they were rubbish at set pieces defending wise, New York, and
they finally got bit. It was if he's onside, it was pretty unmarked.
The referee doesn't look interested in going to VAR here at all.
No, I thought
the New York bench is signalling for it. They want it.
There's some groans in the crowd, and apparently not. So that was.
They're happy with it.
Their set pieces. I can't remember a highlight they've created.
No, I agree.
Highlight. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Can't remember like.
Okay, we are playing Football Manager. That's what we're doing.
We're at like the same level, anyways. That they've created not from a set piece. Every one of them seems to end up with the threat. It was impossible for that guy to miss. Tallis is coming out too.
Off comes the Wonder Kid. Got his goal, had a great game. So we've just seen the 5th New York City goal of the night. It's the second one disallowed.
This one was a little more obvious that it was going to come back.
But it was a decent run, a decent finish from, is it Pellegrini?
Yeah, the guy just came in like 5 minutes ago. New York's been all over him the whole game.
Yeah.
He's been really, really impressive.
Especially the second half. The second half has been so dominant. I mean, obviously Dallas got the goal, but that was from a set piece and their only real chance of the game at all.
Yeah, Dallas is good. Like, they've got 3 guys that are, at least 30 caps in the U.S. national team that are running around on that field, that are, like, still kind of in the prime. So, New York has got something cooking tonight.
They've had a very impressive day. Full time, and NYC made it look really easy.
Yeah, it was a great match to catch, honestly. Dallas got the goal. They were competitive in the first half, but NYCFC looked like they could do some damage this year, which is good.
Second half blew them away, took control of the game, and that was that. There was no ever chance of Dallas getting back into it. So, game finished. We're going down to the press conference bit now, which is interesting. So we'll see how that one goes. We're now in the press room. I feel like I've got to whisper.
Yeah, you probably should. Nobody's here yet.
I feel like I can't say anything.
I think we had a pretty good first half. We see very different than the way that you see. I think it's really difficult to play in this stadium. It's a small field, relatively smaller than the soccer fields that we usually play. And I think we were really good. I think we just had a mistake, and we had chances to score even more than them. And we went to halftime losing 1-0.
What annoys me is when I can see how effective we can be when we're aggressive and we play at a real high intensity, and when our intensity dips and we're not so aggressive out of possession, we then give the opposition a chance to get into the game. And I think if we're going to be a top team, we need both sides of the game for 95 minutes. And there's no problem if the guys really empty the tank and we pull them on 65, 70 minutes, because we've got such a strong bench and really hungry guys that really want to go in and help the team. So I knew in the Nashville game that we could be so much better with an intensity, offensively and defensively, and today was the same. You look at the last parts of the first half, we're allowing shots from the edge of the box, we're allowing crosses into the box. If we want to win games, we've got to sustain intensity, and this team is growing, and you see, I was so pleased with the second half performance.
So I'm finally back home and I can reflect on the 2 matches to find out which one was better. We'll start off with the cost, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Premier League was more cost effective at £42 and £13.80 for the food and the tickets themselves. I thought it was expensive until I got to America, where everything there is just a little bit more expensive. I did notice that whilst I was there. So it was more cost effective for a ticket and food to go to a Premier League match. Of course, it was also cheaper for me to actually travel to Leicester than it was New York, but that's a little bit unfair for me to compare. And although the food was more expensive in America, it was so much better. The one thing America seems to do really well is food in the stadiums. We went to an MLB game and an NBA game as well, and the food in the stadium every single time was just so good. So America do the food well in stadiums, and although it was more expensive, it was so much nicer. So a point to the New York City FC game. I do want to touch on the stadiums as well, because obviously watching a football game in a purpose-built football stadium is better than watching it in a baseball stadium. So for the actual enjoyment of watching a football match, it was better at Leicester. However, I was really impressed by the American stadiums. I thought they are way better than UK stadiums on the grounds. You've got so much more variety in there for food. I mean, the Shake Shack in the New York City FC stadium was just amazing, but also the concourses are so much bigger as well. You've actually got room to move around. I know if you go to like a game in the UK, particularly in the older stadiums, I mean, Leicester's a newer one, so it's a bit different, but there's not a whole lot of room to move around in. You do feel like you're packed in like a sardine, for an example, but in America, it was just so spacious and wide, escalators going up to every level, lifts all over the place, really accessible as well. So I was actually really impressed with how good the stadiums are in America. So if you're basing it on pure stadiums, then the City Field we went to go and watch the New York City FC game is way better than Leicester Stadium. To watch a football match in, it's probably Leicester Stadium, obviously, because it's a purpose-built stadium. But I'm going to give this point to America because I did prefer that stadium. But the downside, of course, of New York playing in a baseball stadium is it doesn't really keep the atmosphere in at all, whereas Leicester Stadium did keep in the atmosphere really nicely. Now, it does help that I was right next to the Bournemouth fans and they were winning, so they made a lot of noise. The Leicester active support were the other side of the stadium to us, so actually we couldn't really hear them very well over the noise of the Bournemouth fans, so I can't really comment too much on the Leicester fans. But of course, the stadium's got a roof and it's kind of like a bowl shape, so it keeps the atmosphere in really nicely, whereas a baseball stadium is not quite so good at that. And although the New York City fans across the way from us were probably making more noise than the Bournemouth and Leicester fans with the drums and the trumpets and singing for the whole 90 minutes, we didn't really get an awful lot of it where we were sitting, if I'm honest with you. So if I was going to say the atmosphere, I'd give it to Leicester on that regard, but I think the stadium design helped with that a lot, and the fact that Bournemouth right next to us winning, that helped a lot as well. If New York City FC's purpose-built stadium, when it gets built in 2027, is more of like a bowl and a dome and keeps the sound in, but I could really see them having a fantastic atmosphere at home games. And so it becomes really difficult to decide who wins this category. The Premier League is a better league for footballers and ordinarily for watching games as well, but the game we went to wasn't great, whereas I really enjoyed watching NYCFC versus Dallas. Although the quality of the actual players isn't as good, it was a really exciting game with plenty of stuff going on all the time. And for that reason, I have to vote on what I saw in those two games. Ordinarily, the Premier League would probably win, but in this instance, I'm giving it to the MLS, which is a big shock, but I have to vote on what I saw in front of me that day.